you're dealing with many stresses in your life, just natural stresses. They're not all negative and all bad. Life is full of stress, but you're on an overload and you have been for a long time.
I have been.
And part of it is the caregiving element, being a broker owner, being in leadership. We tend to love many people and help many people out. And that's just our tendency. And for us, that generosity is part of our lifestyle. But you've carried a lot of stress. So the one little extra thing, I would say this for anyone dealing with pain and dealing with a cancer diagnosis or a similar terminal condition potentially, is you can't sit there and judge yourself.
That's right.
You have to give yourself grace, because moment by moment, you're climbing up the ladder to survive and then thrive. Cancer makes you feel like you're at the bottom and that's where you're going to stay. Cancer makes you feel like, hey, listen, I've got to think about life and death at the bottom.
Yeah, it does.
Okay?
Yeah, I can just tell you practically yesterday, the thing that set me off the most was sitting in the waiting room with the other cancer. And I'm looking at everybody in the waiting room going, well, that's not me. And that was a harsh thing to think, first of all.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to separate from that.
Right.
And I'm trying to detach, to say, I can't identify with this. And at the same time, it's because my heart was bleeding. It was bleeding over a woman, a beautiful wife that walked in, but she was skin and bones. And her husband was with her, and she couldn't even sit in her chair. She was a rag. She was just at her end. And I truly hope that she can find recovery. I don't know where she is in her diagnosis, but she was just so tiny and could not sit. And she was hunched over like her legs. Her face was in between her legs, and her husband was rubbing her back. And I could tell that he felt so much pain too.
Right.
And he wanted to comfort her. And I know, I'm thinking to myself, he needs comfort just as bad. He's suffering so much watching that. It set me off, because then we go into the oncologist office and talk to the doctor. And I'm just, I don't know how people, I mean, it's different when you're around people that are really going through this, instead of just talking about it but being in the middle of it.
And God has us positioned here.